obi a odidwa na wo se ma amfa cylinder emba home menu aduane dey so no benua.
We are saying don't bring gas cookers in the markets to cook.
Sometimes when we go to the market and we feel they don't have time for us, we send the gospel according to fire safety, even to the churches where they attend church.
Fire outbreaks are recorded yearly, sometimes monthly or even weekly in some markets here in Ghana. On Legal Agenda, we will provide comprehensive review by taking perspectives from market traders, the ECG, firefighters, AMA, and some of our market women to shed light on the causes of market fires.
On near oti market ni mu no why illegal connection or use gadgets na cable na nye papa no cable no tumi yeshi yeshi no so a etumi nane na so bibi mu bohwe no na market na yeshi nti reasons are Emma market no outbreak fire outbreak ni ba market ni bebre but these are menu a me feel say very vital as electricity for betumi take initiative no aba market ni mu aba be visibility steady and steady we ni pa akọ shop to shop any oma check bibia no omo enforce say nti omo use cables even shops no omo use cables na here the real cables and the right cables no omo make sure say omo san cables no omo enforce omo be because Ghana dey obi abeka say sike ni o na but when you enforce no only option be obey
almost every year. Yeah. This light off normally happens, and sometimes most of the stores have been using generators, and sometimes it makes it cause fire by itself. Yeah. On our side, we have extinguishers for protection, but the others I don't know exactly what they have. But all depends on the way the layout of the market. Whenever like this building, for instance, is supposed to be examined by fire service personnel, but I don't know how best it has been examined before they give the go ahead for the building. So sometimes due to electrical installations do cause most of the fire outbreaks.
Sometimes in stores maybe no use gas, any microwave, and sometimes never say omuru efi omu yusu a omu ndum no ebi msu so omu light susu ebi ase damage bi wo ho a na ese ebi aye repair omu nye sometimes nso kwa wo be hu say sometimes where are you no my no bebie apie instead of say omu free electrician na enfani na nhye rank mu enti wo say wires no apie enti ebi touch ebi etimi cause damage no say no omo sin me sure say on be ma electricals adwuma no be very tight say na ebe ya entimi cause damage bi but yeti ha na bia omo hu na yetimi from say any say na say ye wa ha yensu ye boa
ye mimi ye ni say ba na say me ensure me shop no yeah star assurance for no me ensure say be ya baby san ba metumi at the same time no e bia ye coffee a electricals ni ade no yedundum no say dey be ya enko kan bibi and I say any shops ni bi on so a petroleum product ne doso enti say wo dum na e den unlike say about the na petroleum product no e doso niema rubber niema bebre enti say aha no yes e kofom a na ha nso apagya ni mu omko ha na ha nso aye sa na ema no eye enti vi say eno ne ade a na me hu
bia ne ekola moko light efite ache moko aba join ekola join mo ya join mo papa o npa fa ni ka ba fe ata mekme ni yesa wana fe ni ka ba join laje akaba ba mi don loji wanga wo fi onu water wo.
I have with me here Mr. Gilbert Ni Ankara, Head of Public Affairs from AMA. I have D.O. Desmond Aka, Deputy National Public Relations Officer. Then I also have Madam Comfort Ekuban. She's the head of Market Women Association at Santana. So, my lady and gentlemen, you are welcome to Legal Agenda.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. So, Madam Comfort, you heard from the ladies. Have you yourself experienced any market fires in the past? Can you shed some light on this?
Me pacho be share be pain. Me mankasa me shop a share. Light off. Those days na light off our panty. Lady be so kenner and no see ho. Enti bra or turn a petition. A petition so Jericho mo or Saturn. Enti I want no my petition one send ya one no monsanwa. One behavior ete. You are then pem kenner no na talk and sanimo. Ti a ton sen mon kai sa wo kata so. Won so anya ne sa no wo so mu sa na ensa no hwe. Enti na flame no e wo ensa nani. E na e fa ho. Obia kiosk say e dekọ kakra. Na ye fire service for 2006.
I think you hold on to that. But I just want to know what's the impact is when there is any fire outbreak. How is the impact on your livelihood and your business? And we just want to know about it.
In fact, say e basa e ja show normal enye asemo a e da form. E your how kese pa ema yen edwedifo no.
I don't know whether you know the primary causes of this. You've shed light on the fact that someone did something at the market. These local distillers did something to cause the fire. So could it be that they are so reckless? That is why always we are having these market fires at the market. Could it be?
Oh, me jin tum sa say edwumfo ma no na enhwe no ma yema eja no eto market ho. Empem bebre no wiring na ya no kra no. Eya fire service for no bi ba ho. Wotumi hu say ne awaye enye a wo be ka kire nipa na wan yi wani. Nadmofo ba ho ehu say wiring na ya no illegal and I say the way omo eye wiring no kra no enye enso won ka omo so de onim say wa ma electrician abeye adwuma onim ho hwe wonyina ba ho eko won ka bribia nti aya na enye edwedifo no fault.
Okay, Auntie Comfort, we'll come back to you. But let's go to AMA. I know in 2022 we recorded 986 commercial fires in Ghana. It is alleged that urban market fires in the informal sector have received relatively little attention from local governments compared to flood disasters. It's alleged. I mean, you, per the law, you are mandated to plan and design the markets we have in Ghana. What goes into the planning of these markets?
Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I would want to begin my submission and by saying that currently, if you want to look at the jurisdiction of the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, we are looking at areas including Okankwe South, we are looking at areas including Ablekuma South, and then that of Asheduketeke being the entire central business district. So AMA doesn't cover the entire Accra or the entire nation. But that notwithstanding, we appreciate the fact that the assembly is the first of all assemblies and the mother of all assemblies. And as such, if you look at the concentration of markets within the central business district, you asked about what goes into the designing of markets. Let me state that if you look at the markets we have within our zone, they are quite ancient markets, and we can mention Mokola, we can mention our own Agublushi market, we can mention Okanshi markets, and these are quite not very recent markets. So if you look at issues of wiring, just as she said, we've had some of the traders who would go contrary to lay down procedures, and then they would move in to do what they want to do. They bring in unqualified electricians to do some of these things for them. But assembly is liaising with agencies such as fire to ensure that some of these education go down well for them to appreciate. But let me state briefly that currently, if you look at what the assembly is doing with respect to the redevelopment of the markets we have, and I can cite what we have done with the Agbogbulushi market shed. Now, it is quite different if you look at what the other sheds are. This time around, we are taking into consideration all these other factors. So the sheds are not even, the roofings are not low as compared to what they used to be. These are higher ones and all that. So a lot is going into the redesigning of the markets currently within the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, and we are quite hopeful that with what we are doing, it will help to curtail a lot of the fire outbreaks that we are experiencing. But that notwithstanding, we all have a responsibility to play.
Okay, very well. So I'm glad you said you are educating them. You started educating market women regarding this outbreaks, fire outbreaks. However, who is in charge of preventing this? Because even the Kaya is taxed on daily basis. And I know that at 6 p.m., that's when you log the markets, the various markets. Who should go around to ensure that these people or everything, safety measures have been put in place to prevent these fire outbreaks? Because if you are educating them and we don't have anyone to implement what you are educating them on, then we will certainly keep having this fire outbreak. So what are you doing about it?
Of course.
We have to have another person to come. Who is checking it?
Of course. If you look at our public markets, the assembly is responsible in ensuring that, just as you said, after 6 p.m., nobody goes into the market, and we have our guards there to check what happens within the market. But if you look at recent fire outbreaks, and I would cite the recent one which happened at Katamanton. If you look at the timing, it happened. It wasn't in the evening, it was during the day. And fire is here to attest to the fact that a lot of the causes of these fire outbreaks are human, aside the technical aspect. I spoke about the fact that most of these, and I can cite the latest report that we got from fire as a result of one of the fire outbreaks. And it was quite clear that the traders engage the services of unqualified electricians. And when it happens that way, it's a challenge, coupled with, just as you said, coupled with some power outages. The recent one we had at Mokola, for instance, it was as a result of a generator. And it was a shop, and the owner wasn't able to do the changeover well. And that was what sparked the entire fire outbreak. So, just as I said, we all have a responsibility to play as stakeholders. And we are quite hopeful that as government agencies, what the assembly is doing, playing that coordinating role in ensuring that some of these things are done. If traders would also do what you are expected to do, I can assure you that we would definitely curtail.
I see the blame game now, but
no, I'm not in. That was why I said that it's not about blame. We all have a responsibility to play, and let me briefly touch on the wiring. Government through the Millennium Development some facility had begun the rewiring of markets within the region. And I can cite Mokola Market, Timber Market, Tuesday Market, and a couple of the markets within our zone. So in terms of what state agencies are expected to do, I spoke about the fact that the mayor had to join fire service in one of the educational week within the Central Business District to educate traders. Some we even go to the extent that telling people not to even bring gas cookers in the market, but they bring some of these things there. So we have a responsibility to play. And if collectively we all play our role, I can assure you that we will be able to curtail some of these.
Let's go back to Madam Comfort. Do you think the authorities are doing enough to help you to prevent this?
There be that. Enya de awo boy. Miss Reka say, obi a odidwa na o se ma amfa cylinder emba ho menu aduane. Dey so no benua. Even cropot kra onua so no, obomu kra ejaketu bi betimi afiri mu ato ema aye bribi nti eno ane sa bribia no mo ba kyerɛkyerɛ yen. Munye ni se na mo hwɛ yen wire sa ne ameka ho asɛm no. Mo hwɛ wire no na mo hwɛ cylinder ye de aba wa ye de nu aduane cropot empa bebre no ye kyerɛ wo nu aduane wo market kra na wo bepe bowl kɛseɛ bi metal now the nsu egum with the block atum now the adness nti eje bi efri to a kwɔhye obi ade nti esa abribia no yenso ya ho sa mo nso meden mo be kyerɛkyerɛ bet mo yimani fire service bi ba ye ho enje nne won kyerɛ hwe beginning na ya mba kakra se so mo mba.
Okay.
Everyone needs the perfect snack to munch on during a fun moment.
Wow.
Enjoy the tasty McBerry Twist cupcakes, deliciously baked and packaged for a sweet treat.
Premium quality cakes baked with love for all, enriched in butter and milk.
Yummy.
Oh, McBerry Twist cupcakes. Simply irresistible. Try one today.
This advert is FDA approved.
Based on what Auntie Comfort is saying, I want to know how do you engage the market women?
What she said is perfect.
We are interested.
What she said is perfect. If you look at what the assembly is doing with respect to engagement, and it happens on so many, just as we all know, the mayor would, for instance, decide to move into the market. And anytime she moves into the market, irrespective of the activity, you know what the assembly does, it cuts across. So we wouldn't get to a market site where the mayor would not even let the people know that just, we are saying don't bring gas cookers in the markets to cook. And we are telling you not to do, but they also feel they have that responsibility because they have to eat. But there are so many ways in killing a cat. Mm-hmm. You can decide not to bring those gas cookers, cookers there and cook there, and you will still find food to eat. So we want them to also meet us halfway. Because if we continue educating, we continue engaging, organizing stakeholder engagements on a lot of these things, and they keep on doing what they are doing, we'll come back to ground zero.
Let's go back to fire. Mr. Dio Desmondaka. So we started by mentioning the statistics. We have 986 so far as fire outbreaks recorded in the country since from 2022. So we want to be specific. Do you have data regarding fire outbreaks at the markets?
Yes, first of all, let me thank your viewers and then my co-panelists for joining us here this afternoon. To be honest with you, we have empirical data to back our claims of every fire that we have attended over the years. If you look at just last year, we recorded a total of about 6,154 fires, out of which commercial fires were 913. So coming into this year, we have ups at May ending. We, even just in May alone, we recorded a little over 428 fires. If you look at these figures, commercial fires are just about 83.
The rest is
markets. Yes. The rest are a cut across. It's not just markets. This year alone, we've recorded not less than 4 fires in the market nationwide. And so if you look at the trend, it is not quite good because we are not happy when the fires occur in the market. Our challenge has been that, once the incidents happen, we expect that the affected persons will call us. We will only respond when we get the alert that the fire has occurred. So if the call delays in coming, it affects our performance, or it affects our output to be able to contain the fire as quickly as possible. And then 2, once we get to these markets, we have always had issues with accessibility. You will go to these markets and you realize that a lot of these alleys and lanes, which are supposed to give right of way to our tenders and to our men to effectively contain the fire situation, is very cumbersome. You wouldn't even have the way to even enter to be able to get to the seat of fire, to be able to contain the fire. So that is another challenge. And then the third one has to do with access to continuous water supply from the hydrants that have been mounted or has been built in these markets. It shouldn't surprise you that most of these markets have not gotten enough hydrants, enough functional hydrants, which when the need arises, helps us to be able to get access to water. So most often than not, we are able to mobilize maybe 4 or 3 or 5 tenders to appear at a market fire so as to be able to give us water to be able to contain the fire situation. So for us, we are poised to be able to come to the aid of these market women. One thing that should be made clear is that we don't set the fires. So once the fires happen, we expect that the market women who are there, the traders who are there 24/7, they should rather call us. So if they are not calling us on the right emergency numbers, of which we have engaged them over the period, they have association, they have tomato sellers, they have rice or yam sellers. We've engaged almost all the associations that they have and have educated them enough since 1963 till date. We have been going to them, we have been reaching them. Sometimes when we go to the market and we feel they don't have time for us, we send the gospel according to fire safety, even to the churches where they attend church. So they cannot give us the excuse that when they call us, we don't come. We will only come to the fire scene when you have called us. And one thing we should also bear in mind is that there are challenges that we face in responding to some of these fires. If you call the nearest fire station and the dispatch is made, in less than 1 minute, an appliance has to be dispatched to the fire scene. But in case the closest fire station to the affected market is fault, I mean, we work with machines. Even as human beings, we break down, we fall sick and we break down as often as possible. So how much more the machines that we work with? Or it could also be that the particular tender which is closer to the affected market has been dispatched to another incident scene at maybe a different location. When it happens like that, it means that we have to look for another nearby fire station with a fire tender to also respond. And you know, proximity is a challenge. We don't have enough fire stations all over the country. And therefore, when it happens like this, the closest station would have to come in. And in coming in, it will take quite a longer time, or it will take some time to be able to reach the fire scene. And these are some of the challenges that we face that we want the traders to bear with us. But I think we have done creditably well. Our market, we have a market task force that has been specifically mandated to go to the various markets. And we can attest to the fact that they are doing a yeoman's job. The only challenge that we have is that the traders, most often than not, do not have a listening ear for our messages. And therefore, we have educated them on the need not to even send any cooking apparatus to the market. Yes. But as
so why?
Auntie Comfort was speaking, they are doing it. We have barred them not to cook in the market. They are cooking in the market. We have advised them against the use of or contracting the services of quack electricians. They are still doing it. We have advised them on housekeeping, how to even arrange their wares to the point that there will be enough ventilation to take away excess heat. They are still doing it. when they are closing from their shops, because I don't know whether it's because of traffic or they want to get home early enough or whatever, they tend to be forgetful and then leave their electric fans and other electrical gadgets on. And by which time, maybe in the evening, after working for so much time, for so long a time, they get overheated and probably get into contact with combustibles, and then they catch fire. Another thing that we've also realized in the market is that there is no proper segregation of waste. Because you could go to a market, you should be able to find where we sell clothes or cloths alone, or we sell, let's say, hardware materials. But you realize that every shop, you go to a particular shop, he's selling clothes, he's selling electrical equipment, he's selling hardware, substances and what have you. And that is very bad. You know, materials in general react differently in fires. So let's say you have a shop, you sell clothes, you sell books, you sell hardware materials like carbide and what have you. Like what happened in Kumasi KJT quite recently, when somebody had closed the shop. It was daytime. People were around. They saw the person cooking with a gas stove. He locked the shop to go and converse with a friend. Wow. And then lo and behold, the heat from the cooking pot got into contact with a combustible in the shop and the fire started. But the people were not in the known about the carbide, the calcium carbide which was there, which mustn't be extinguished, or when you see a fire of that nature, you don't have to put water on it. They didn't have that knowledge, and they put water on it. The fire escalated, and it caused damage to the number of shops that got destroyed in that particular market. Had it not been our intervention, about 800 shops in that enclave would have gotten burnt, and people would have lost their investment. That is not what we want to see. So we are pleading with our traders. Like already mentioned, most of these fire causes are anthropogenic. They are human-induced causative factors. People are being careless, they are being ignorant, they are causing the fires accidentally and all that. We don't want those things to go on. That is why this time round, what we are going to do differently, of which management has taken a decision on it, is to be able to engage the owners of the market. You know, we all have responsibility. Our responsibility is to educate. Our responsibility is to empower the people to know their rules as far as fire prevention is concerned. And that I have clearly stated that we have done creditably well for the past 60 years. And we are going to even do more. But this time round, we are going to add a bit of enforcement to it, so that every trader or every shop owner who is recalcitrant and doesn't want to comply with the laid down safety protocols in the market, as they have been educated over the years, will be brought to book. I mean, it pains me that the assemblies or the various markets have bylaws. And I don't know why their bylaws are not being implemented to the latter. Once they have these bylaws, we are all stakeholders to the bylaws. We should gazette them and then periodically engage the traders and then let them be aware of the punitive measures that are available when you go contrary to it. And then they should also be bold enough to ensure that they do not allow people into the market to such an extent that the number of people and even the trading activity in the market, I mean, goes beyond the carrying capacity of the market. That is why it will happen that the alleys are blocked with wares and what have you. I mean, we should ensure that one man is to one shop. Nobody is supposed to be allowed to extend or bring his or her wares in front of the shop. I mean, that shouldn't be allowed. But you go to the market, those things are there. You go to the market, the traders are nicodemously engaging the service of these quack electricians on weekends and even at night.
Okay, so you touched on so many things. I'll get back on that. You mentioned that people don't know the right emergency numbers to even call. You educate us on the numbers you have to call in case there is any fire outbreak. You also mentioned accessibility. So we'll go back to AMA. That's why we said that the law mandates you to plan. So with the new market you mentioned, is it easily accessible in case there is any fire outbreak? Because fire mentioned that, I mean, it's not easily accessible in case there is even fire outbreak. So it delays them to quench all these fires, and before you realize, a lot of properties have been destroyed. So has it been factored in your planning in terms of the new market? And even with the old market, what are we doing about it? Is it that because we have built it already, so we should just leave it to chance?
Thank you for the opportunity once again. Of course not. The Assembly acknowledges the fact that issues of congestion in the market is on the increase, and as such, something must be done about it. Just as I said earlier on, before I got here, I was in a meeting, and that meeting was about traders who had occupied the frontage of some shops, and the shop owner wanted them to leave because it's causing some form of discomfort for them. The fire officer mentioned that most of the time you see them park their wares to the extent that you can't even see what is happening. And the Assembly is doing all what it can to ensure that issues of decongestion are dealt with, just as I'm saying.
But what about the accessibility?
Yes, and the decongestion will deal with the accessibility.
All right.
Last week, as I said, some portions of some shops within the Central Business District have been decongested, and the traders are not too happy. The Assembly is currently dealing with their leadership to look for appropriate places for them. And one of the conditions we are looking at is, for instance, if you are a trader and you want to sell something, of course, you don't need to bring a bigger table and pack your wares as if you own a shop. We expect them to do things in a more moderate way so that it will deal with the issues of the congestion. And we believe that very soon the Assembly would also be embarking on a major decongestion exercise to deal with some of these things within the entire Central Business District. We have begun. And we feel it will deal with issues of accessibility as well.
Okay, so a lot of people have the opinion that in Ghana we are able to, I mean, a lot of people or state institutions have everything figured out in terms of if we do it this way, this will be solved. But the challenge is who is supposed to implement them. So with the Assembly, who is supposed to implement these bylaws that even fire officer mentioned? Because it seems we know what we have to do, but the challenge is who is supposed to implement these laws that we have spoken about.
Let me state that the Assembly is not running away from its responsibility. The bylaws of the Assembly are ours, and we are doing all what we can to ensure that we enforce it. Intensify enforcement, and it cuts across. If you look at what the market talks about in the bylaw, it's quite clear that with these public markets, after 6 p.m., nobody goes into the market. We have our guards who normally monitor. But of course, you have people who would, one way or the end, our mother is here, she's a trader. She can attest to the fact that after 6 p.m., even you have some traders who would, one way or the other, tell you, oh, just give me some few time for us to pack one or two things before we leave. And in as much as we acknowledge the fact that it's a challenge, we also want them to support us in whatever we are doing. Just as I said, it's a collective responsibility. And if we all play our part, trust me, if you look at the Central Business District, our fire officer spoke about specific goods market where you have, so if you look at Okanshi, for instance, we know Okanshi to be areas where we go, you can get cloth there. But currently, as we speak, the place has been turned into something else. People coming in to do sell all kinds of wares. And the Assembly, just as I said, would ensure that we embark on our decongestion agenda to open up the spaces for people to be able to go and do their wares. We also want to encourage other municipalities to also develop their market. So people would not move, always want to move into the central business district, always want to move. You will find people who would want to even buy water, and they feel when they come to the central business district, it will be cheaper. But there are other satellite markets within the other municipalities, and we encourage people to also visit those markets so that we'll be able to decongest the central.
The conversation is getting so interesting. But we have to end here for today's discussion. Join us again next week for a continuation of this discussion. And until then, this has been Legal Agenda. My name is Matilda Boateng.